Alright. Excuse me. Welcome back to Case Co's Anime Review, Episode 116. Excuse me. This one I'm covering the newest episode of the series, Episode 1005, the 36 Cell Game, Part 3, and the two most recent chapters released for the series. 1071 and 1072. Now, for Cell Game, this covers roughly pretty much it finishes up chapter 1031, basically the rest of that chapter, and pretty much depth the entirety of chapter 1081. If you're thinking, is there any changes between what they adapted here, what they show in the anime? As far as I could tell, very little. I mean, it's not like they have some big alternate changes. The only change I could think of they made was when they made a camera change for one scene later on in the episode. Episode starts out, pretty much everybody have a little bonfire moment, gathering, basically talking about the previous two victims, and and of course also discussing about. Now, it's revealed in this episode that the people who appear in this episode, the ones who appear in this case, were all part of a baseball team. Because 9. That's where the 9 comes in. He figures a little bit later, all basically baseball players. And of course, the guy who was there is accused. He thinks that he's being accused of murder. Even though that, he is the murderer. It's revealed at the end of the episode that he is the one who killed the two guys who actually died in the episode. So, they slowly reveal exactly, the code and the fact that a lot of this stuff is so much rigged. The fact he picks up random when it comes to issues. Now, the shaker box thing, revealed later on in the episode. Now, last week's episode, he used a mint box to determine basically people go to a certain location, check out a particular sound. And it turns out the 3 boxes he used were empty. And you're probably thinking, how the heck make a noise with the shaker, when we shake it up from the instant there? Sleight hand. And of course, Mori points out, though, he's a magician. Yep. And Mori basically is pretty smart in this one, surprisingly. Yes, he gets a pretty good amount. He doesn't get anything wrong, per se. He doesn't, guess who the actual person who actually. Yeah, thanks, of course, to Conan, Amuro, and Wakata's prompting, thanks to all 4 of them, they pretty much strategize, basically reveal that he is the one who's responsible for this. Well, they reveal this by habits where the guy who kind of looks like one of the cops from one of their district, where they have him basically come into the study, which is locked, by the way, come through the freaking ceiling, and everybody comes in. Now, the change to make here is via camera angle, per se. Because in the manga, when you saw him coming out from the ceiling, it was from the side. Basically, you have the guy here, he coming on the ceiling with a table and chair. In the anime, it's a different angle. They changed angle for this particular thing, where you actually see it from the guy's perspective, see him coming down instead of coming from the side. I don't know the problem with this change. It's actually not that bad. Yep. And eventually everyone else comes in. Yes. And as for the purpose of the 2 murders happened in the previous 2 episodes, the reason for it is because of a baseball game. Because the 2 guys, plus the guy who was there, admitted that, he figured out that these guys threw their last game, and the guy who committed suicide did actually commit suicide. He wasn't murdered and they cover up with a suicide. No, he actually committed suicide. And he thinks that they drove him to suicide. Not really, no. It was due to his shoulder. Yes, because over the course of the previous 3 games they mentioned, the guy had injured his shoulder was basically shot. He couldn't exactly move his shoulder much anymore. So, they pretty much had the game lose on purpose because of his shoulder. Now, they all got to college, per se, and never thought he'd get drafted, but that didn't happen because of his shoulder. And later on, the guy committed suicide. And it turns out, though, that he thought, that the girl woman, Ika, he thought that she dumped him, but in actuality, he broke up with her because he didn't think they'd have a future together. So just of it. And of course, well, he admits everything. After he basically, and he just doesn't say anything at all, the police shop, of course, also thinks, of course, well, prior to all this, Mori gets a phone call from, I think it's Yomoto. He's the guy who's in that other district. Yeah, he gets a call from him saying, yeah, we have a snowplow coming out there, basically taking an hour, and we'll be up there in 3 hours. Okay. And, well, that's where the guy was panicking, the fact, over that. Yep. And then we see that Comey, we see that, well, everybody pretty much has survived. Like, the guy is arrested. Off screen, mind you, yes. Now, in case you're curious, though, did they cut from the anime the guy seeing handcuffs? No, this actually happened in manga, too. They never actually showed the guy in handcuffs. I thought it was kind of weird. Also, ask for the former superintendent, calling them. What was it about? It not specifically revealed on screen. Of course, Comey sees Amuro, and Amuro sees that Comey is looking at him, and you can see here they kind of recognize each other just by looking at each other, but they don't say anything. Mostly, Comey just says hi to Mori, and of course we have the people detective who got a thing for Yomoto. She basically is like saying hi to Conan because of the various times that he has been out there. Now, in case you're curious, though, does she ask where Rain is? Was that line come from the manga? No. She never actually mentioned where she was. And then the episode ends exactly where the manga ends, where Comey says, time is money. That was a phrase that Rum basically told Amuro we trying to figure out about Seiji Kudo. This was definitely a pretty interesting three-parter per se. And next week, it's back to the Detective Boys. Now, this arc, as for this arc, I'm going to basically cover these two chapters, which last week I covered just the opening chapter. This week I covered chapters 1070 and 1071. Like, 2 chapters, great. Now, the first one is basically 1071, Time Caps, which is the second chapter this arc. And it sort of like the creator of the code, Mayo Ami Ikimi, who is Hybro's older sister. So they pretty much have their teacher. I kind of forgot this woman's name. I have to look her up. Sorry about this. I had to look at this woman's name because it has been a while since I basically. Yeah, it's basically. Let's see here. Kobayashi. Yeah, Kobayashi. Yeah, that's who this is. Kobayashi basically is handing out the various assignments to people, and of course Conan gets Hybra and Ami. Yep. And the guy's like, hey, no fair, you get the girls. Why do you get the girls? Unfair. And then of course Riku and Kobayashi and Wakashi basically, well, we're girls too, you know. You always could change groups later on. Yep. Yeah, it's quite hilarious, the fact that George and Mitch get jealous of Conan hogging all the women. So they pretty much spend time looking around. They don't find much of anything. And, of course, they try to find where the time capsule was. And, of course, you see a flashback of, well, Hybra's sister when she was younger. Where she basically thinks that, oh, yeah, you must be really smart. This secretary. And, nope, she actually peeked and the girl answers right in front of her. Yep. And, of course, they didn't find much of anything. Like, leave the hunch to them. And they continue searching. Lots of searching this one. And of course, Conan's with the teachers this time. And everybody else. And of course, Conan's using his smartphone to figure out exactly about a picture. And they go into the room. And of course, look under a bed in the infirmary. We look on the computer. Yes. Be brave, huh? And then we see, looks like the Mori Detective Agency in the final panel. Yeah, despite the fact that Mori himself is not even in this arc, and not even ran, which that's kind of weird. Yeah, I don't really know why. Yep. And then chapter 1072 is the resolution arc. And you're probably thinking, wow, that's quick. Only 3 chapters? Yeah, this is by far the first one since the arc that came after the one they just had from the anime. First one's been that short. First one a little while, actually. So basically, they kind of figure out exactly where this time capsule is. And they think it's actually... This whole thing was over a fire that happened in the music room. They think someone's on purpose, but no, it was actually an electrical fire. Yep. So they killed one of their fellow students basically over this. Yep, and of course they saw the codes that were given. And then they can't find a note left by Hybrid's sister. Like, I have a letter. It's no letter. What a picture. And a picture of her and her sister when they were younger. And of course she reads the note in the back. And here it's kind of her voice again. And then she gets shakes. And someone, like Cohen's like, outside the room, and nope, it was nobody. Well, actually, it's because Rum passes by his motorcycle because he delivered food. And of course, Wakaski basically is looking out the window. And then I think she sees that Wakata is there. And he's driving away. This guy is actually Rum. Yeah, it's quite strange, though, the fact that she's looking at him. I mean, the viewers know he is, in fact... Well, he is Rum, the second commander of the agency. Now, it was suspected she was Rum, but that was proved to be a red herring. Like, what is the connection to him? That might be explored in a later story arc, but this arc was just okay. It advances the plot a little bit, per se. It's nice to see Kobayashi and Wakasha. It's nice to see these two, but I kind of wish we did a little bit more with them. Yeah. Yes, kind of felt as though this is basically like a laid-back arc. And it's basically characters just searching around for where this time capsule is. And they find it, and it's nothing really special, of course. The only thing good about this arc is just that Hybrid gets a little bit of character, gets a character boost. That's it, because she basically hears her sister's voice. Yep. But I'm going to give these 2 chapters roughly an 8.5 out of 10. Interesting start, but man, it kind of felt like it just didn't go much any place in 2 chapters. Now, as in the case of when the next arc is going to start up, let's see, because they just wrapped up this arc, and I was surprised, though, the fact this arc was really short. Yeah, I was kind of surprised about that. Let's see. The next arc starts up next month. Yeah, next month. Actually, it starts up this month. May 26th. Yep, May 26th. That's in a little over 2 weeks. Not bad, but at least we're not waiting 3 frickin' months, like 2 months for this case. And also, hopefully they don't wait almost a month for the release in their chapter. I hope to God no. Yep. Yeah, one thing that's kind of weird though, for 2 arcs in a row, and it's just 3 chapters. Hopefully the next arc is longer. I hope so, but it depends. Yeah, it depends upon the actual, like, what the writer wants to do. Yep. Oh, yeah, in case you're curious, so, like, because the fact this most recent episode just got to, like, chapter 1031, like, how many chapters left to be adapted for this series? Well, they just got to chapter, 1072. There's exactly 41 chapters left. My guess is we're probably going to wait another 3 months for another canon episode, because next week we'll go back to the original content. Yeah, my guess is we're going to do this for about 3 months, and then we're having our canon case. My guess, the first three part of it comes right after this arc. Yeah, the very first one, which is, let's see, Edible Wild Plants. Yeah, this one's surprisingly a 3-parter. Yeah, this one is going to be a very interesting one to be adapted, because this one's only just 3 chapters, which you probably thinking, really? Yeah, it's only 3 chapters. And then you have several arcs in a row being just 4 chapters. And the only arc that kind of felt like it was, and then you have like several 3-parters in a row, and then like, you have Congo Delivery 3 chapters. Basically, a 2 arcs in a row being 3 chapters. You had the previous 2 cases for this one being 6 chapters. And then you have the previous case be just 3 chapters. Yeah, I don't really know why we're going through arc just like really quickly, but yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this particular video. And that's it for videos today, because I have no other videos planned for today. So tomorrow I expect to see maybe some comic corners. Also for Eden Zero, One Piece, Boruto, and My Hero Academia. Okay, this next video. Bye.